Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please join us today. Today we will be studying Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 6, Puruṣa-sūkta confirmed. And here the main topic is Lord's blessings, the blessings of the Lord, where we are realizing that God is great, but how great He is that He provides everything to sustain us and to give us that peace and happiness that we are all hankering for. Hare Krishna, please join us for Jai Radha Madhav prayers. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharidhari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Kunja Bihari Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharidhari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharidhari, Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana, Yamunatira Vanachari, Yamunatira Vanachari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please join us in the recitation of the first verse of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 6. And before that, please join us for Mangalacharan prayers. Together we will recite. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiryet Shavatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shamana Kirtanaha Hridayantasto Bhadrani Vidhunoti Suhasatam Nashta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavti Nashtaki. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So today we will be discussing the blessings of the Lord as revealed by who? The first, the most perfect living entity in this material world, Lord Brahma himself. Hare Krishna, please join us in the recitation of the first verse of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 2nd Canto, Chapter 6. Brahmo Vacha Vacham Vahane Mukham Kshetram Chandasam Sapta Dhatvaha Havya Kavyamritananam Jīva Sarvarasasya Cha. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Lord Brahma said, The mouth of the Virat Purusha, the universal form of the Lord, is the generating center of the voice, and the controlling deity is fire. His skin and 6 other layers are the generating centers of the Vedic hymns, and his tongue is the productive center of different foodstuffs and delicacies for offering to the demigods, the forefathers, and the general mass of people. Hare Krishna, please join us for Guru Pranati. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripa tadaham vande Shri Gurum Dīnataranam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, dear devotees. So today we will be discussing the blessings of the Lordship, how He is always eager to bless us, even ready to bless and facilitate to people who are not devoted to Him, right? People who are in forgetfulness. As we always say, every living entity, whether he is in the form of a human being or animals, beasts, birds, or even in trees, mountains, they are all Jīva Sarupaya Kṛṣṇa Nitya Dās. They are all devotees. They are eternal servant of Lord Shri Krishna. The difference is some know it, some don't. So some are in light facing the Lordship, looking at His beautiful face, His effulgence. And some who are in forgetfulness, they are behind Him. So they're getting frustrated, even Maya, Pradgyana, even the philosophers, their intelligence is taken away by this Maya, the material energy. And so, being deluded, they are seeing the back of Lord Shri Krishna in His Virat Roop form. So Lord Brahma, in this particular chapter, is describing the Virat Roop further. There are 3 areas he covers. So, people who may be new, so let me cover the setting. So what is happening is that in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, as we studied in the first canto and the beginning of second canto, Sutta Goswami at Naimisharanya is speaking Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. He is reciting Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam in the assembly of the great sages, right? And their spokesperson is Shaunaka Rishi. And he is reciting Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, so he must have heard it from somewhere. He actually heard it from Shukdev Goswami, who recited earlier at the bank of Ganges, where Maharaj Parikshit was fasting for 7 days. So that is an essential aspect for we should understand. And at that time, Parikshit Maharaj had made some inquiries. And in one of the inquiries, as Shukdev Goswami is revealing, he is revealing that Devashi Narad asked, looking at Lord Brahma, because he used to think that his father, Lord Brahma, is the supreme being. And in the previous class we covered that Lord Brahma says that sometimes being bewildered, seeing my wonderful activities of creation in this material universe, people mistake, Lord Brahma to be the supreme being, but he is the perfect living entity, one of the jivas like you and me, but he has perfection because he has, those qualities, those 55 qualities, 50 qualities to the perfection, and he is the first living entity. He is also known as Aja. Aja means that who does not take birth. But at the same time, Acharyas explain further, deeper meaning of Aja is that one who does not have a material father or mother. So Lord Brahma, he is born on a lotus flower that sprouts from the navel of Garbhodakshai Vishnu. Garbh, you can understand, like Garbh refers to embryo. right? Garbho Dakshai Vishnu. And so Narad Muni asks, are you the Supreme Being? Because you seem to be meditating on someone. You seem to be, praying to someone. So that observation, is being made by Devashi Narad, and he's asking his father. And at that time, Lord Brahma is revealing, no, actually, Lord Kṛṣṇa is the Supreme Being. And from him comes Mahapurusha, the Karano Dakshai Vishnu. He is lying in the Karan ocean, and from the pores of his body and from his breathing, many universes are coming out, and with his inhalation, they are all merging back into him. And so, as he continues to explain, from this, in this particular chapter, there is a specific, form of Lord is being described by Lord Brahma. So when we hear in Bhagavad Gita, the Vishwarup, the universal form of Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa, as we see here. So this is the form as Paramatma on this page, but here on this page is, on the right side is the universal form. And the details of this universal form, and in the purport that Srila Prabhupada explains in Bhagavad Gita, is coming from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, right? Because Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa, when he showed his universal form, Sanjay explained that there are thousands of hands, thousands of legs, thousands of faces, and some basic description. But in this chapter in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, we will hear further details about the universal form and how Lord is so merciful. A father is, he loves his sons. So sometimes a son may be a bad son. So a father may want to discipline that son. But that does not mean that the father is a bad father. He's disciplining this, the discipline is to make sure that the son becomes a good son. A naughty son becomes a better son and is able to enjoy peacefully with all other sons. Because father wants harmony among all of his children. So that is an essential aspect. Because otherwise there may be so many disturbances, and Lord himself comes. He says, right, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma sansthapanāthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So he says, I advent in this material world again and again. And what are the three reasons he comes here? Paritranaya sadhunam, to protect the devotees, the sadhus. And vinashaya cha dushkritam, to annihilate the miscreants. Dharma sansthapanāthaya. And the third one is to establish the principles of religion. धर्म की स्थापना करने के लिए, क्योंकि अधर्म का नाश करने के लिए आते हैं भगवान, दुष्टों का नाश करते हैं और भक्तों की रक्षा करते हैं. So these are the essential principles कि भगवान क्यों आते हैं. और बहुत से लोग बोलते हैं कि भगवान जो है वो अवतार नहीं लेते हैं. तो थर्ड चैप्टर ऑफ श्रीमद् भागवतम में अच्छी तरह से द टॉपिक, जो टाइटल है चैप्टर का, वही है भगवान के अवतार, राइट, द इनकारनेशंस ऑफ लॉर्ड श्री कृष्ण. एंड उसमें ये भी बताया गया है, एते चाम स्कलह पुंसा कृष्णस्तु भगवान स्वयं इंद्रारि व्याकुलम लोके मृदयन्ति युगे युगे. तो ये जो डिफरेंट पोर्शंस एंड प्लानरी पोर्शंस हैं, भगवान के दो तरह से एक्सपेंशंस होते हैं. व्हाट आर दीज टू? फर्स्ट इज स्वमशा, which are all Vishnu Tattvas, and together they are all non-different, yet at the same time difference is that Lord Kṛṣṇa is avatari and all these are avatars, incarnations. And sometimes this confusion is there that people take Lord Kṛṣṇa to be an avatar of Narayan, but actually Narayan is an expansion of Lord Kṛṣṇa. And the 10th canto also brings it that even Narayan wants to see Lord Kṛṣṇa. So he even tries to trick so that he can see the beautiful form of Lord Kṛṣṇa. But then Lord Kṛṣṇa is number one in everything. So if we want to serve Lord Kṛṣṇa, Lord reciprocates accordingly. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamiham. He is saying कि जैसा कोई जो मुझको सर्व करता है, जो मुझसे इंटरेक्ट करता है, मैं उसको उसी तरह से रेसिप्रोकेट करता हूँ, मैं उसे उसी तरह के फल देता हूँ. तो जो भक्तगण है, भगवान को पूछते हैं, भगवान की भक्ति में लगे रहते हैं, डिवोशनल सर्विस में एंगेज रहते हैं, फॉर देम Lord is blessing them. And for miscreants, for the dushta, who are, disturbing the devotees, they are like the naughty sons of Lord Kṛṣṇa. So being a compassionate father, Lord, scolds them, he disciplines them so that they may continue to improve themselves. And those who don't improve in the life at the time of death, they fear death and they are thrown in hellish conditions so that they improve again. So those are corrective facility. Now in this material world, there is another topic in this chapter that is discussed. So there are 3 sections discussed by Lord Brahma. First is the description of the universal form of Lord Shri Krishna, and where we will be able to see कि जो भी हम देखते हैं इस भौतिक जगत में, everything we can relate with Lord Shri Krishna, that he is the one who is the proprietor, he is the one who is the cause of all causes, and he is the one who is giving us everything in this material world. And then the second aspect is that there is Adhyatmic Jagat, the spiritual world, which is 75%, and then there is Bhautik Jagat, right? This material universes. And this material universe our universe is just one of the many universe. और अगर एक universe को एक grain of sand समझें या तिल का एक तिल समझें, so it is like the whole material universe has unlimited universes which are like a bucket full of grains. शिला प्रभुपाद अपने उसमें भावार्थ में बताते हैं purport में that it's like a bucket of these grains of sand or buckets of till, and 3 times more are the spiritual ones. So ऐसे में it is very easy to relate. Now the third aspect is that Lord, he is provider of all living entities. He takes care of us and he simply provides for our needs. But there are 2 purposes the material world is created. बहुत से लोग पूछते हैं कि why did भगवान ने ये भौतिक जगत क्यों बनाया अगर ये दुखालय और अशाश्वत है, right? So the first purpose is that those naughty children जो कि आध्यात्मिक जगत में थे, हम लोग जब हम आध्यात्मिक जगत में थे, हम भगवान की सेवा में कर रहे थे, for some reason we became naughty. तो उस समय we were sent to this material world so that we can enjoy, because we did not want to serve Lord. We were looking for our own enjoyment. So Lord Krishna makes this facility through Yog Maya, his internal potency, to send us to this material world. So this material world, we come under the jurisdiction of Mahamaya. So as living entities, we are eternal servant of Lord Shri Krishna. And Krishna Tathashta Shakti Beda Beda Prakash. So we are the marginal potency of Lord Shri Krishna. So there are 3 kinds of potencies. Internal potency represented by Radharani, and external potency represented by Mahamaya or Goddess Durga. And we living entities are the Tathashta Shakti and Bhed Abhed Prakash. Now Bhed Abhed Prakash means that we are qualitatively same as Lord Shri Krishna. All the qualities we have acquired is coming from Lord Krishna. Lekin quantitatively there is a gulf of difference. If he is the gold mine, then we are just a piece of gold in the form of a ring or a necklace or something. So quantitatively he is unlimited and we are minuscule, we are very limited. So he is magnanimous, he is great. So another example Srila Prabhupada gives is like ocean. Like if Lord Krishna is like ocean, we are a drop from the ocean. So that is big difference. That's why Achintya Beda Beda Tattva, the inconceivable, simultaneously same and different from the Lordship, this philosophy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has been propagated. Now, this particular chapter, as it describes, it reminds me of a morning walk of Srila Prabhupada when he was in 1974 at a beach, and he was walking with the devotees. One of the devotee, he was saying, "Oh, Srila Prabhupada, today the scientists are declaring, भाई ये जो वैज्ञानिक हैं ये बोल रहे हैं कि उन्होंने इस प्रकृति पे राज्य कर लिया. Now they are ruling this material nature. They have subdued it." So Srila Prabhupada said, "How can they say that?" So he is saying, तो वो describe कर रहे हैं कि because they are saying that they can make planes that can fly anywhere they feel like, and so that has been one of the reasons, and so that, as we can see, we can manipulate the material nature. So that has been one of the aspects, that okay, airplanes can travel anywhere, and you can control the temperature within your house. You can, predict the weather and, make proper arrangements. So Srila Prabhupada at that time, he is smiling and he says, yes, this is the understanding sometimes materialists have, the scientists. Maya hapragyana, Maya has stolen away their intelligence. So this is how they say, because Lord Krishna reveals in Bhagavad Gita. What does he reveal? Prakate kriya manani gune karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimuddhatma karta hamiti manyate. So all these activities are actually being carried out by material nature, right? Who has the three gunas? What are the three gunas? Mode of goodness, right? Sattva guna, mode of passion, rajoguna, and mode of ignorance, tamoguna. But ahankara vimuddhatma, the one who's bewildered, he is in ego, in false ego. He is thinking that I am the one doing everything. Now, this material energy, as we said, is under the, control of Lord Shri Krishna, not in our control, but actually she is under the control of Lord Shri Krishna. So this is also being proven. Lord Krishna reveals this in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. Maya adhyakshena prakriti suyate sa characharam hetu nanena kanteya jagad vipri vartate. He is saying, भगवान कृष्ण कह रहे हैं कि ये जो महामाया है, ये जो प्रकृति है, ये मेरी ही शक्तियों में से, मेरी ही पोटेंसीज में से, मेरी ही एनर्जीज में से एक है, एंड वो मेरे ही डायरेक्शन के आधार पे काम कर रही है, राइट? दिस मटेरियल एनर्जी नेचर विच इज वन ऑफ माय एनर्जीज is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, and it is producing all these moving and non-moving beings, right? Char, acharam, characharam. So char means the ones that are moving. Acharam is ones that are non-moving, like trees, hills, and mountains. And under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. So under the rule of this material nature, this material world is running, right? So ऐसे में, how do we understand that just like government is running nice, ruling and maintaining law and order, but those who break law and order, they are put in jail, right? So this is where it's revealed by the acharyas that this material world is like a jail, where, when we do not obey the law of God, when we don't obey, then we are sent to this jail. And who's the jailer of this jail? Mahamaya. Exactly. So Mahamaya is the jailer of this jail. And yet at the same time, everyone is thinking that they are going to rule over Mahamaya, right? They will be able to control the material nature. Well, the very body that we have received is also received from material nature. So this body, so again, as living entities, we are spiritual spark. And what is our size? 1/10,000th of the tip of the hair. So if you think the width of the hair is like the Himalaya base of the Himalaya mountain, think of the tip of Himalaya. You can easily, put your hand around the tip. So think of that tip and then break it into 10,000 pieces. And that one piece would be the size of, is our size. So this is an amazing revelation. We realize that, okay, we are, so minute, yet at the same time, ahankara vimuddhatma, we become proud of what? Thinking that we are able to control this material nature. Now that Srila Prabhupada reveals, then they say, yeah, weather change hota hai, so we can adjust ourselves. We can create situations where we can be safe. Srila Prabhupada said, but partial control is no control. Either you have full control, but only one person who has full control. Maya adhyakshena prakriti. Kiske adhin kaam kar rahi hai prakriti? Who's under whose control? Lord Krishna's control. So she is working under his control. So when we understand this, that we are here to correct ourselves, right? So those who want to enjoy this material nature, they get bewildered and they're thinking that they're enjoying. But in reality, they are constantly in anxiety. They are not really enjoying, while it is, the devotees. Now, what's the second purpose? First purpose is for people who want to enjoy themselves, want to be the center of the universe, thinking that they are in the center of the universe. They are sent to this material world to give them an opportunity to enjoy. But they are hardly enjoying because they are constantly suffering. But who's really enjoying? The ones who are surrendering to Lord Shri Krishna, the devotees. By serving Lord Shri Krishna, we experience transcendental bliss, right? Or what is, before being happy, you have to be peaceful. Otherwise, how can you be happy? और ये भगवद गीता में बहुत अच्छी तरह बताया है. भगवान कृष्ण क्या बता रहे हैं? ब्रह्म भूता प्रसन्नात्मा न शोचति न कांक्षति समः सर्वेषु भूतेषु मद भक्तिम लभते पराम. So Brahma Bhuta, Aham Brahmasmi, yes, we are all Brahman. But how are we situated in Brahman? Because we are from the spiritual world, but we are in this material world. We are not of this material world, we are in this material world. हम इस भौतिक जगत में हैं, हम इस भौतिक जगत के नहीं हैं. That's the important difference. So when we understand from this perspective, तो ब्रह्मभूता स्टेज जो हमारा प्रॉपर स्टेज है, उस पे आने के लिए what should be done? We should understand to be at this stage, we are, when we are at this stage, we are prasanna, we are always rejoicing. Na shochati, we are not lamenting of the past, and na akankshati, और हमें आने वाले भविष्य की आकांक्षाएं भी नहीं है. We are not aspiring for something in the future materially, right? Samah sarveshu bhuteshu, and we look at all living entities with equal vision. Mad bhakti labhate param, and we are eternally serving Lord Shri Krishna with devotion, with love, with gratitude. And when we serve Lord Shri Krishna, He blesses us. He is happy with us, just like a father, when a son is a good son and he is serving the father and encouraging all of the brothers and sisters to also serve the father, and in harmony is coexisting with those sons, then he becomes very dear to Lord Shri Krishna. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the golden avatar in this age, when he came, he actually, did he kill Jagai and Madhai? Did he kill anyone? No. Because when Jagai and Madhai, when they hurt Nityananda Prabhu, and at that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he invoked his Sudarshan Chakra, to kill them. At that time, Nityananda Prabhu immediately caught hold of his feet and he said, "My dear Lord, you are Patita Pavana. आपका ये जो अवतार है ये पतित पावना है. आप बाकी अवतारों में जब आए तो आपने annihilate किया, आपने kill किया. The Vishnu in Krishna kills. Krishna never kills. But when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was about to kill, at that time, the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu caused Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to hold back. And at that time, seeing this, Jagai and Madhai ने जैसे देखा कि अरे नित्यानंद प्रभु ने हमारे को बचाया है, वो immediately surrender करे. So we have to surrender. Nityananda Prabhu, what does he reveal? He is Adi Guru, he is Balram. So we have to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master who is in the lineage, परंपरा में जो है. And so we get the mercy of Lord Krishna. और इस age में भी अगर कोई miscreant होता है, it is not to be annihilated but rather supposed to be enlightened, right? जैसे किसी हॉस्पिटल में बहुत सारे मरीज होते हैं, पर अगर कोई मरीज उल्टी कर देता है तो डॉक्टर गुस्सा होता है, नर्स गुस्सा होता है? नहीं, वो उनका ख्याल रखते हैं, उनको ठीक करते हैं. So this Krishna consciousness is like an environment, and ISKCON is like a hospital where all people who are materially inflicted with jaundice. श्रील रूपा गोस्वामी बताते हैं एग्जाम्पल कि जब जॉन्डिस हो जाता है हर चीज पीली नजर आती है, और इवन स्वीट कैंडी जो होती है ना, वो कड़वी लगती है टेस्ट करने में, जो भी शुगर भी कड़वी लगती है. ऐसे जब हम लोग मटेरियली इन्फेक्टेड होते हैं तो हमारे लिए मेडिसिन क्या है? चैंटिंग ऑफ द होली नेम. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. लेकिन जब हम शुरू में भगवान का ये जप करते हैं तो हमें बहुत डिफिकल्टी होती है. क्यों होती है? क्योंकि जो स्वीट कैंडी है टू अ जॉन्डिस पर्सन टेस्ट बिटर, but we have to continue to chant. By continuous chanting, it, like sweet candy, it takes away the sickness and one experiences the sweetness. Similarly, by constantly chanting with attention, focusing on pronunciation, hearing it attentively so that the transcendental sound vibration goes to our ears, to our heart, and Cheto Darpanamajanam, and cleanses our heart, our consciousness. And so in the mirror of our heart, we can see Jīvera Sarupaya Kṛṣṇera Nitya Das, that we are eternal servant of Lord Shri Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada and Acharyas, they reveal that it's a bona fide process to, we can just close our eyes and in the lotus of our heart, we can have a very opulent, throne on which we can welcome the Lord to sit, and we can wash his feet with Ganga and Yamuna, and this is direct perception. Now, but for people who cannot take to this practice, who cannot understand the sweetness of this, for them it is important that everything we see in this material world, how do we relate with Lord Shri Krishna? Maya means that which is not, right? Brahma Satya, Jagat Mithya. So, Jagat Mithya is because of its temporary nature, and also because our thinking, are looking at this material world and thinking it is for my enjoyment, for me to lord over. That is the wrong thinking. Actually, everything in this material world is connected with Lord Shri Krishna. And that is the essence that Lord Brahma is revealing in this chapter. तो जल्दी से चलिए हम लोग डाइव करते हैं as how to relate everything in this material world. जो भी हम इस भौतिक जगत में देखते हैं उसे भगवान कृष्ण से कैसे लिंक कर सके, उनके विश्व रूप, द यूनिवर्सल फॉर्म से रिलेट कर सकें. हरे कृष्णा. So it is in this particular chapter, one of the important aspect is कि जैसा हम लोग अभी देखे हैं इस वाले में, लॉर्ड ब्रह्मा क्या बता रहे हैं कि जो विराट पुरुष है, जो यूनिवर्सल फॉर्म ऑफ द लॉर्ड, जो उनका विश्व रूप है, उनका जो माउथ है, उनका जो मुख है, उसमें it is the generating center of voice. So Shabda K we are talked about. So the sound is produced in ether, and the controlling deity is fire. अब इसको कैसे समझे fire? It is very nicely said that when an offering is done in the fire of fire sacrifice में जब हम लोग oblations डालते हैं तो हम बोलते हैं स्वाहा, जो मंत्र बोलते हैं उसको एंड करते हैं स्वाहा. स्वाहा is wife of Yajna Purusha, and who is Yajna Purusha? Lord himself is Yajna Purusha. तो उनके माउथ, उनका माउथ पे क्या है? फायर है, राइट? सो फायर में डाल रहे हैं. सो द कंट्रोलिंग डिटी इज फायर, एंड हम जो ऑफरिंग कर रहे हैं वो जा रही हैं यज्ञ पुरुषा को, और फादर लॉर्ड कृष्णा को, थ्रू द मदर, बिकॉज मदर्स नेम इज यज्ञ पुरुषा's वाइफ नेम इज स्वाहा. सो वी आर गिविंग इट टू मदर टू गिव इट टू फादर through the fire which is in the mouth of Lord Shri Krishna. Now Lord Krishna also says that yes, this is one way, but he is more pleased if the devotees of the Lord are fed. क्योंकि जब हम भगवान के devotees को after offering it to the Lordship भोगा, जब वो महाप्रसाद हम devotees को देते हैं, so the devotees eat it, right? वहाँ प्रसाद वो लोग ग्रहण करते हैं, उसको प्रसाद सेवा भी करते हैं, वो लोग सेवा कर रहे हैं, और वो जो होता है फायर ऑफ द स्टमक में जाता है, एंड द फायर ऑफ द स्टमक के थ्रू जो लेते हैं तो भगवान बहुत खुश होते हैं. एंड इसीलिए बोला है कि इस पर्टिकुलर चैप्टर के अंदर, इस पर्टिकुलर वर्स जो हमने अभी करी, जो डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ फूड स्टफ्स एंड डेलिकेसीज हैं, दे आर फॉर द ऑफरिंग्स टू द डेमिगॉड्स, द फोरफादर्स एंड द जनरल मास ऑफ पीपल, बिकॉज इट प्यूरिफाइज एवरीवन. सो अब आपको समझ में आ गया होगा इसको किस तरह से, लाइक हाउ टू अंडरस्टैंड द माउथ ऑफ लॉर्ड श्री कृष्णा इन दिस विराट रूप. सो अगेन विराट रूप इज अ avatar, is an incarnation, is a form of Lord Shri Krishna with respect to the material world, the material universe, and everything that we see in this material universe is present in this Virat Roop. That is an important aspect. This is a very important aspect Acharyas reveal, that everything in this material world is to be related with, that everything is present in Virat Roop. और जो भगवान की जो दो नॉस्ट्रिल्स हैं, राइट, वो जो हैं दे आर द जनरेटिंग सेंटर्स ऑफ आवर ब्रीदिंग एंड अदर एयर्स. तो हमारी बॉडी में जो 5 काइंड ऑफ एयर्स ट्रेवल करती है, ऐसे ही सारे जगत में जो एयर होती हैं डिफरेंट टाइप की, दे आर ऑल जनरेटेड फ्रॉम द 2 नॉस्ट्रिल्स ऑफ विराट रूप, यूनिवर्सल फॉर्म. and वहां से smelling power, right, the power to smell, they generate the Ashwini Kumar demigods. So now यहाँ पे विराट रूप से कैसे different demigods generate हो रहे हैं ये बताया जा रहा है. And Ashwini Kumars are the doctors of the demigods, right? So all kind of medicinal herbs. और जो breathing energies होते हैं वो different kind of fragrance भगवान के विराट रूप के जो यूनिवर्सल फॉर्म है उनके विश्व रूप से different kind of fragrances, खुशबुएं भी आती हैं. और उनकी जो eyes है, you know, उनसे they are the generating centers of forms. So we talked about this, that from fire comes the, you know, we can see the forms. So this is where different kind of forms, they are from the eyes, they are the generating center. भगवान के विश्व रूप से generating forms आ रहे हैं, different kind of forms, जो कि कभी कभी glitter करती हैं, illuminate होती है. उनके eyeballs क्या हैं? Sun and moon and the heavenly planets. उनका ears, they hear from all sides. The 10 directions being said. Sometimes devotees ask, "Hey, Prabhuji, ये 10 directions का refer किया गया है. So this direction is because of the ears, but then ये 10 directions क्या है? North, south, east, west तो केवल 4 directions है. Then उसको 45 डिग्री से अगर shift करते हैं तो north east, north west, south east, south west. ये दूसरे 4 directions. What are the other 2 directions? Up and down, right? Now these are the 10 directions. So the ears, they can hear from all sides, right? And what are they meant for? The ears, जो हमको ears मिले हैं, they're meant for all the Vedas. And his sense of hearing is the generating center of the sky and of all kind of sounds. क्योंकि sky, ether से sound produce होती है, so that is the generating center. So the sense, you know, विश्वरूप की जो sense of hearing है, वो generating center of sky है. उनका जो bodily surface है, वो breeding ground है for active principles. जो भी, you know, everything that we see in this material world is the breeding ground, and जो भी auspicious opportunities हैं, they are from his bodily surface. So जो उनका skin है, जो त्वचा है, वो is the generating center for all kind of touch. तो जब हम अपनी त्वचा को means कुछ touch करता है, oh, Lord's skin is the generating center of touch. Air, we talked about this, that air produces the sense of touch. So it is the place for performing all kind of sacrifices. Air is needed to make sure that all kind of sacrifices can be performed, right? और उसके बाद में भगवान के जो बाल हैं शरीर पे, जो different hair हैं, जो उनके arms पे हैं, shoulders पे हैं, they are the cause of all vegetation, particularly of those trees जो कि ingredients provide करते हैं sacrifice के लिए यज्ञ पुरुषम. भोक्तारम यज्ञ तपसाम सर्वलोक महेश्वरम सुहृदम सर्वभूतानाम ज्ञात्वा माम शांतिम ऋच्छति. तो भगवान कृष्ण रिवील कर रहे हैं अर्जुन को, भोक्तारम यज्ञ तपसाम. So he is the benefactor, beneficiary of all the sacrifices, not benefactor, beneficiary of all the sacrifices. Sarvalok Maheshwaram, and he is the supreme proprietor of spiritual universes as well as material universes. सुहृदम सर्वभूतानाम, और वो हम सबके हृदय में विराजमान है as super soul, not exceeding 9 inches in height. So this picture is of super soul, depicting the super soul in the heart of all living entities. Yet at the same time, it doesn't mean that if he is in my heart, you know, it's a different super soul than he is in your heart. So again, this is why it is inconceivable when we talk about Lordship Kṛṣṇa, because he has expanded into various, you know, avatars, as Puruṣa-sūkta, as Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Vishnu. He is residing in my heart as super soul, he is residing in your heart as super soul, he is residing everywhere as super soul. Sarvavyapi hai, he is omnipresent, and in that form he is not different. So I know my business, you know your business, but Lord Kṛṣṇa knows everyone's business, right? So he is not different, even though he may be situated at one place as well as another place, yet at the same time he may be in one form here as well as a similar form somewhere else, but they are all one. So that is an essential. That's why it's called achintya, inconceivable. अगर आप उसको चिंता कर सकते हैं, आप उसको figure out कर सकते हैं, तो फिर अचिंत्य नहीं होता, right? That's an essential aspect. So जो उनके बहुत से लोग बोलते हैं कि जो trees काट रहे हैं और जो waxing कर रहे हैं, that is like, you know, we are taking care of the hair. No, even the hair, the vegetation, जिसमें हम लोग के different ingredients होते हैं, they are meant to, be offered in sacrifice to Lord Shri Krishna. And उनके जो बाल जो हैं उनके सिर पे और जो face पे हैं, they are the reservoir for the clouds. And his nails, they are even special. They are the breeding ground. वहां से क्या generate होती है? Electricity. The Brahman effulgence comes out from the nails of Lord Shri Krishna. So again, Virat Rupa के उसमें breeding ground of electricity has stones and iron ores. They are from the nails of Lord Shri Krishna. And Lord's arms, they are the productive fields. उनसे क्या generate होते हैं? Great demigods or the leaders of the living entity, जो क्षत्रिय की तरह बाकी living masses को protect करते हैं. And जब भगवान चलते हैं, right, विराट रूप, when he walks the forward steps of the Lord, जब हम सामने से देखते हैं भगवान के पद चिन्हों को, तो वो जो पद हैं भगवान के, they are the shelter for all the upper, lower and heavenly planets, as well as for all that we need. जो भी हमें चाहिए वो सब हमें भगवान के चरण कमलों में मिल जाता है. And they protect us, सब तरह के भय से बचाते हैं. They are protecting us from all kinds of fears. तो इस तरह ब्रह्मा बता रहे हैं देवर्षि नारद को कि जो विश्व रूप यूनिवर्सल फॉर्म ऑफ लॉर्ड कृष्ण जो है, so this universal form, manifest and unmanifest, it is inferior form compared to Lord Krishna's two-arm, form. So again, that is Navyavana form, right? And so this universal form में जो genitals हैं, they originate, they give rise to water, semen, generative rains and the procreators. जो प्रजापतिस हैं वो यहाँ से generate होते हैं. And उनके जो genitals हैं, they are the cause for the pleasure. और ये pleasure जो होता है ये counteract करता है kind of distress for begetting. So now here ब्रह्मा जी बता रहे हैं कि basically people who are in material consciousness, they do not understand how life is run, so they collect all their life various things, and now they want that there should be children, so that all these things that they have collected should be passed on to the children. But that is not the purpose to beget children. The purpose of begetting children is so that this is an opportunity for other living entities, so that they can get the human form of life and can go back home, back to Godhead. So to become a parent is a great responsibility. But in this material world, people forget that purpose and they get attached to the Vedas, which in the sections which is for Karma Kanda. So that section of Vedas become very attractive because it has very flowery language, and they're saying, oh, for forefathers there should be oblations, Pindadan, और उस तरह की शास्त्र सेरेमनीज ये सारी करनी चाहिए ताकि forefathers pleased होते हैं, तो जो पूर्वज होते हैं, जो ancestors होते हैं, they are getting better destination in this way and they are not starving. Because यमराज के पास जाने के लिए भी जब ले जाए जाते हैं पायस और इम्पायस एक्टिविटी के लिए, जो लोग spiritual world नहीं return कर पाते, they are not, those who are not able to go back home, back to Godhead, they are taken by Yamdutas to Yamraj, and Yamraj with Chitragupta, his secretary, makes a judgment okay, so many pious activities, so many impious activities. Impious activities send them to hell, and then for pious activities let them get some time in heaven, and then send them back to earth, earthly planets, if once those punishments are over, in different incarnated as a different living entity, maybe, if we are not devotees. But for devotees there is security, because if devotees, we are serving, we are engaged in bhajan kriya, which starts with hearing the 9 process of devotional service. When we engage, we are at least guaranteed to get human form of life. So, and Acharyas again explain, and we understand this also, that the purpose of life is to go back home, back to Godhead, and that can only be done when we can attain the love of Godhead. जब हम जो स्वीट कैंडी लेंगे और वो हमें टेस्टी लगेगी, that is the sign. So, and अब ब्रह्मा जी ऐसे, means again he is coming to the point where he is identifying that even the negative aspects that we see in this material world is present in the universal form. वो बोल रहे हैं जो evacuating outlet है, जो anus of the universal form है, it is the abode of the controlling deity of death, Mitra, right? So this is, you can imagine those who are engaged in various kind of materialistic activities, and they're always fearful of death. So that's what they would be able to relate from to the universal form. Or the evacuating hole and the rectum of the Lord is the place of envy, misfortune, death, hell, etc. So all those kind of bad propensities or जो characteristics हैं, they are coming from the evacuating hole. अब भगवान का जो बैक है, विश्वरूप, द यूनिवर्सल फॉर्म, it is a place जहाँ पे सब तरह के frustration and ignorance, it is a place for all kinds of frustration, ignorance, as well as immorality, all kind of sinful activities. So sometimes you talk to people and they're like, yeah, from Vishwarup we are massaging his back. That's what they're thinking, but in reality they are in darkness. They do not know they're seeing the Lord from the back, and so they are engaging in all these activities which are going to further push them down into hellish conditions. Right from the back, this is where they're always fearful of death as they're going from top to bottom. And so now Lord Brahma, after revealing this, somebody could say, what about the rivers and the rivulets, right? The various tributaries that we see in the rivers. What are these? So these are the veins, from the veins, these rivers and rivulets flow. Just like the blood flows through our veins and arteries, similarly the rivers and the rivulets, they flow. And his bones, they are like the stack of the great mountains. And now Lord Brahma suddenly विश्वरूप यूनिवर्सल फॉर्म से शिफ्ट होके impersonal feature पे चले जाते हैं, जो ब्रह्मन ज्योति पे बोलते हैं कि it is the abode of great oceans and his belly is the resting place for the materially annihilated living entities. और उनका जो हृदय है, it is the abode of subtle material bodies of living entities. So we have two kinds of bodies in this material world. One is gross body made up of earth, water, fire, air and ether. And then we have a subtle body also inside this gross body made up of three elements: false ego, intelligence and mind. So it is thus it is known. So ये कौन जान सकते हैं? Intelligent class of man. So this is where Lord Brahma now goes about discussing about the different intelligent class of man. He's saying that the consciousness of that great personality of Vishwarup, right, the universal form of Lord, is the abode of religious principles. किसके religious principles? हम सबके. So that is Sanatan, right? Mine, yours and those of the four bachelors, Sanak Sanatan, Sanat Kumar and Sanandana. And this consciousness is also the abode of truth and transcendental knowledge. That's why we should always be, in Krishna consciousness. But to come to that Krishna consciousness in the beginning, a person who cannot relate to Lord Shri Krishna, he can understand that everything is related with Lord Shri Krishna even in this material world. And Srila Prabhupada used to give this example that even if a drunkard drinks a wine and thinks, oh, raso aham apsu kante, I am the taste in water. So the taste of wine is also Lord Shri Krishna, Srila Prabhupada reveals, would also get purified in due course of time and by taking to chanting. Now chanting is not restricted by time, place or circumstances. It is universal because it is transcendental sound vibration. It is a prayer. Oh, my dear Mother Radha, oh, my dear Lord Krishna, please engage me in your devotional service. So when by praying continuously and relating everything we see in this material world, we can come to proper consciousness. And that is the essential principle that has been discussed in this particular chapter. So here we learn how we can relate everything that we see around us. We see a glass of water. As we are drinking, oh, this is the taste of Lord Krishna is the taste of in water, and this water is coming from the veins of Lord Shri Krishna in his Vishwarup form. So again, in his universal form, when we relate to it, we can relate everything with Lord Shri Krishna, and by remembering Lord Shri Krishna, we get purified. So it is for our benefit. So in the beginning, it may be very difficult to take to Krishna consciousness. So how to take to chanting? By constantly seeing Lord Krishna everywhere, and that would be a good reminder. Oh, everything has been provided to me. I'm blessed with everything in this material world by the mercy of Lord Shri Krishna. He is so magnanimous, he is so benevolent. Sruhidam sarvabhutanam, Bhagavan Krishna कहते हैं that I am the best friend, I am the well-wisher of every living entity. So when we in the family life, we have children, we should give them Krishna consciousness so that they can go back home. That is the purpose. That's an opportunity we are giving others also so that they can go back home. But the enjoying propensity causes us to get bewildered. And acharyas and also even great vidwans, they have revealed that in this material world, everything will be stolen from you at death. It is, useless to think. If you think that something will be given to your children, then you don't know how they're going to spend it. And are they going to use it for Krishna conscious purpose or not? Or are they going to, use it for their sense enjoyment? And anything used in sense enjoyment will bring those sinful reactions to you. So that is why, the great teachers, they have revealed that Sut kaput to kyodhan sanchay, put saput to kyodhan sanchay. So put, if a son is a good son, then why should we collect wealth? And if he's a bad son, then why should we collect wealth? और वो ऐसा क्यों बोल रहे हैं? पूत कपूत तो क्यों धन संचय? अगर पूत है, जो बेटा है, अगर वो बैड है, राइट, तो कलेक्ट करने का फायदा नहीं है, क्योंकि वो सारा स्पेंड कर देगा frivolously as we won't desire. And if he's a good son, if he's a saput, then why should we collect wealth? Because if he's a good son, then he will be able to sustain himself, right? Taking shelter of Lord Shri Krishna, engaging in devotional service and being Krishna conscious, and that would benefit us as well as benefit the son. So this is how we should understand. So it is for our benefit to focus on our children, because Srila Prabhupada even said that the children are our deities. We have to take care of them so that they become Krishna conscious, and we should pray for them. Sometimes children, they don't take it to Krishna consciousness because they sometimes feel that this seems to be very dry. But Lord Krishna himself says, Susakham kartum avyayam. Raj vidya raj guhyam pudam at, and it is Susukham kartum avyayam. Pratyakshvavagmam dharmam susukham kartum avyayam. So it is joyfully performed. So we should be joyfully performing our devotional service so that when children, they see, oh, this is so wonderful, right? And they can easily take it to Krishna consciousness. I'll give you my own personal example. I'm an IT guy, and when I was doing my job, my son, I was trying to teach him. He was not ready to listen. He was not ready to learn. And after some time, he became enterprise architect and so forth. And afterwards, he started observing my work, and he was like saying that you are having a lot of fun. What is it that you do? And then he said, can you teach me all this? I said, you have to come to one of my trainings. I'm also a trainer. So, he sat in my training and he's like, oh, this is amazing. This is so joyfully performed. And basically, in my profession, everything is based on, I'm actually using the knowledge that I gained from Bhagavad Gita, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, that everything should be dovetailed towards the mission to please Lord Shri Krishna. Somehow or other, people should feel inspired to come to God, the shelter of God. And when they realized this, then he said, oh, I want to take to this. So he switched his job to do similar kind of work that I do. I'm in IT role currently as well, and everything is to see how we can benefit everyone, benefit the humanity, benefit the organization in achieving the mission, but also seeing that the missions are aligned to benefit the humanity. So even this social service aspect, which is, of course, I work for government, I work for financial institutes, but the focus is to bring goodness in everyone's heart. And when people feel that they are engaging in benefiting the society, they are being compassionate towards other living entities, then they are three-level benefit. The society benefits, the organization benefits, and the people in the organization benefits. Acharyas reveal, it is revealed that body gets cancer because of lot of negativity inside. So we should not have negative feelings. Even doctors have come to this realization that people get diseases like cancer and others. There are two main factors. One is when we are in an environment which is filled with cancerous material all around us. So we are in an environment which is materially negative, and we take those things unknowingly in our body and they cause cancer. And second is when we are filled with negative feelings ourselves, and that ourselves with negative feelings, we welcome diseases like cancer and others. So we should always be conscious of our surrounding. We should always be in a happy mood, and we should realize the blessings of Lord Shri Krishna. So next time, when you pick up a book, and especially Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is literary incarnation of Lord Shri Krishna. So this is where we are in direct contact with Lord Shri Krishna, and we should be ready to take instructions by opening it and reading a verse so that we can understand, hearing about the glories of name, form, activities, pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna. Very nicely depicted in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, very nicely provided by Lord Shri Krishna himself in his song as Bhagavad Gita, so that we can purify our existence and we can become Krishna conscious. And by engaging in service, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pada Sevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atma Nivedanam, the 9 process of devotional service, by following that, we can go back home, back to Godhead. That is the purpose of life, that we have to come to a realization that our prescribed duties, our bodies, which are under the influence of the 3 modes of material nature, and our constitutional position, our Sanatan Dharma, are well aligned. When they are well aligned, then we can easily go back home, back to Godhead in this very life. And why wait for the end of this life? We can spiritualize our very existence. First canto में देवर्षि नारद क्या बोलते हैं? When he was the son of a maid servant, by following the instructions of the Vedantist, his memory was spiritualized, his intelligence was spiritualized, and at the moment of death, there is a lightning and a thunder. Thunder is like the pain of death, and lightning is like, lightning you can imagine it is a revelation. What happened was, what do you hear when there is lightning? Do you see lightning first or do you hear thunder first? You always see lightning first. So for devotees, it is like, mother cat is taking the kitten. So kitten is completely relaxed, nothing to fear. Similarly, death for the devotees is like, just transformation into the spiritual body. While for materialists, it is like a mouse fears death in the mouth of a cat. So that's how fearful it is. So that itself, should make us realize that we don't want to be so in a fearful state. And in this chapter, Lord Brahma is revealing how to become fearless. Lord's feet, his lotus feet, they provide us protection, fearlessness. That's why we should take Sharanagati, we should surrender at the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna. We should engage in the devotional service of Lord Shri Krishna. And that is the purpose. That will make us happy. That will bless us and bless everyone around us when we engage in devotional service, which simply starts with the chanting of the holy name. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Kṛṣṇa, dear devotees. So this is, part of the chapter. Tomorrow we'll be picking up in the next class how Lord Brahma continues to explain further that the spiritual world is 75% and this material world is 25%. So we kind of touched on it a little bit, but how is Mahamaya, represented by Goddess Durga, is managing the affair in this material universe. How the various demigods, they are managing as administrators the affairs of this universe. And how Dushta, miscreants, the demonic people, they are being controlled by the ruling of this jail of this material universe. How, Maya, she controls and punishes the miscreants, sends them to hell, while the devotees, even living in this material world, they take the shelter of Yog Maya, Radharani. Mahatmanastu Mampatha Yogim Prakritim Ashraya. So, Lord Krishna reveals that जो Mahatmas होते हैं, the devotees of Lord, they take shelter of Lord's internal potency, Radharani. And that is the blessing. So in this material world, we can relate everything with Lord Shri Krishna. How's everything related with Lord Shri Krishna? How we can see Lord Krishna in everything? That does not mean everything becomes Lord Shri Krishna. Everything is related to Lord Shri Krishna. That's how we should understand. Always remember, a square is a rhombus. That does not mean every rhombus is a square. राइट जो चौकोर होता है उसकी सारी साइड्स बराबर होती हैं और उसके ऑपोजिट एंगल्स जो होते हैं वो भी बराबर होते हैं, लेकिन उसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि जो रोम्बस है जो कि इट कुड बी डायमंड शेप और सो फोर्थ, तो हर rhombus square nahi hai, but every square is a rhombus. So everything in this material world is related with Lord Shri Krishna. That doesn't mean that everything in this material world becomes Lord Shri Krishna, is Lord Shri Krishna. So that is what bewilders Maya Upradyana. So those philosophers who think the other way, they're thinking, Aham Brahmasmi, so I am Brahman, so I have become, जो इस तरह से सोचते हैं that I am actually Brahman, but they don't realize that Lord is Parabrahman. He's beyond Brahman. He's the cause of Brahman. So everything should be related with Lord Shri Krishna. And Lord Krishna's two-armed Shyamsundar form is the supreme form. And his age is always like, he appears Nav Yauvanam. Right? Like a 15-year, 9 months, 7 days old boyish form. So, youthful form of Lord Shri Krishna. That is the supreme form. From that form, so many expansions are happening, right? Vishnu Tattvas as well as Jīva Tattva expansions. So this is where we would like to end the chapter, so that we understand that everything we should be able to relate with Lord Shri Krishna, and everything should be used in his service. And so we take everything as his blessings, prasad, right? And some of you may be feeling hungry at this time. So preparing to offer bhoga to the Lordship. And once you offer bhoga to the Lordship, it becomes prasad. Prasad means mercy. And we take mercy of Lord Shri Krishna, his blessings, so that we can sustain this body, because it is also, related with Lord Shri Krishna, and we should be used in the service of Lord Shri Krishna. Hare Krishna. So, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So, Prabhuji ने आज हमें जो Canto 2, Chapter 6 में से पुरुष-सूक्त कंटिन्यूड लेसन्स दिए हैं. इस चैप्टर में से बहुत ब्यूटीफुल लेसन्स हैं हमारे लिए कि किस तरह हम भगवान के इंस्ट्रक्शंस और टीचिंग्स को फॉलो करके ये लाइफ परफेक्ट कर सकते हैं. And Prabhuji, was this part 1 of this chapter? Tomorrow
Yes.
there will be a second part?
Yeah, and then a third part. So there are 3 main topics Lord Brahma discusses. So we'll cover all 3 in different classes.
I think, okay,
Yes,
they can hear me?
yes.
Okay. So, we
Hare
all
Krishna.
thank you very much, dear viewers, जिन्होंने आज first time join किया, खासकर श्रीमद्-भागवतम class में. और Prabhuji, do we have some minutes right now to
Yes.
take some questions?
Yes.
Okay. So, dear viewers, अब आप अपने questions post कर सकते हैं. I can read them to Prabhuji. He has few minutes. He can answer your questions, which can help you improve your spiritual life, come closer to Krishna, to please Krishna. And meanwhile, Prabhuji, I have a question here. If you can answer this, I think it will be great help for everyone. खासकर जो आज पहली बार ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं. इस सब्जेक्ट में हम बहुत सी बार कुछ इम्पोर्टेंट लेसन शेयर कर चुके हैं. आपने सरेंडर के बारे में बोला था कि अगर हम भगवान की शरणागति लेते हैं तो इस बारे में ब्रीफली आप कुछ और भी बताइए, जिससे जो न्यू व्यूअर्स हैं उन्हें पता चले भगवान की शरणागति कैसे ली जाती है.
ओके, पहले तो हम डिस्कस करेंगे कि व्हाट आर द 6 लिम्स ऑफ सरेंडर, और दूसरा डिस्कस करेंगे कि व्हाट आर द 6 प्रिंसिपल्स दैट हेल्प्स अस to surrender, and what are the 6 principles that stop us from taking to surrender. So these are the 3 areas this particular question needs to be answered. So जो शरणागति प्रेयर है, it is actually it has 6 limbs and हम उसको कूल मंत्र की तरह से भी जानते हैं, because उसमें एक वर्ड कूल जो है वो आता है. अनुकूल्यस्य संकल्प प्रतिकूल्यस्य वर्जनम रक्षिष्यति इति विश्वासो.
So gopatitve varnam tatha. Anukulyasya sankalpa means that we should accept everything that is beneficial for our devotional service. जो हमारी devotional service के favor में है, हमें वो accept करना चाहिए. Pratikulyasya varjanam. And we should reject everything that is unfavorable to our devotional service. So anything that is not favorable for our devotional service, we should reject. So ये जो है इनके दो प्रिंसिपल्स हैं, अनुकूल के भी और प्रतिकूल के भी, वो भी हम डिस्कस करेंगे इसके बाद में. And रक्षिष्यति इति विश्वासो, that Lord Krishna is a protector. We should be taking shelter of his lotus feet. He is going to protect us. Having this firm faith, firm determination, firm conviction. Gopatitve varnam tatha. And he is our guardian. He protects us. He gives us the shelter. So we are always want to be at the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna, because he will guard us from all scenarios. He will provide us to all the necessities that we need. Now, what we want is not what we need. That is a difference. Sometimes people want many things, but they don't get it because not everything is what they need. So the needs are being provided by Lord Shri Krishna. Atma Nikshepa Karpane. Atma Nikshepa means surrendering everything in serving, pleasing Lord Shri Krishna. So when we please Lord Krishna is Rishikesha, right? Master of the senses. So our senses are automatically satisfied. And Karpane, in a humble mood. So humility is an essential principle of Sharanagati. It is one of the limbs of Sharanagati, that we should serve him in a humble mood. We talked about. हम लोग का साइज क्या है, बहुत से लोग बोलते हैं, ओ भगवान का साइज इन द हार्ट इज not exceeding 9 inches. He is not very big, but then he is unlimited. So in my heart is 9 inches, in your heart is 9 inches, in everyone else's heart is about this size of 9 inches or so, not exceeding 9 inches. But what's our size? 1/10,000th of the tip of the hair. So we are nowhere, right? Even you get the best माइक्रोस्कोप, आप सबसे बढ़िया माइक्रोस्कोप लेके भी आएंगे तो उसमें दिखाई नहीं देगा 10,000th of the tip of the hair. That is our size. And yet at the same time, as super soul, he is providing everywhere. Aham sarvasya prabhu matta sarvam pravartate. तो ये तो हो गए 6 principles. Accepting things favorable for devotional service, rejecting things unfavorable for devotional service, accepting that Lord is our protector, and taking the shelter of Lord Shri Krishna, serving him with everything that we have, and in a humble mood. These are the 6 principles. Now, anukulyasya sankalpa. We should also know what is favorable, right? Utsahan nishchaya dhairya tat karma pravartana sangatyaga satovritte sadbir bhakti prasiddhati. Utsahan, with great enthusiasm, we should serve him. Nishchayat, with great determination, right? And dhairyat, with patience, not expecting that immediately I want returns on my investment. No, we should be patient for Lord's mercy. It is accepted, not taken, right? We should not be claiming for it, but Lord will mercifully give us more than we can even imagine. Tat karma pravartanat, following the 9 processes of devotional service. Sangatyaga, this is Atsat Sangatyaga, the materialist mindset populace. We should avoid them. And Satovritte, following the footsteps of Acharyas. Hare Krishna. And then Pratikulyasya Varjanam is, we should avoid Atyahara, over and eating and over collecting things. Prayasya, over endeavor. Jana Sangasya, people who are materialist and engage in gossip, we should avoid their company. Lalyam, we should also avoid greed, the materialistic greed, the lust, right? And Atyahara, Prayasya, Prajalpo, Niyamagraha. Prajalpa, we should avoid, or Niyamagraha. Niyamagraha is Niyam Agraha, which means rejecting all the rituals, not understanding, and so rejecting and not doing them, or Niyam Agraha, getting too much attached to the rituals without understanding the essence. So in reality, whatever we do, we should understand the essence. And then, of course, Jana Sangasya, Lalyamcha. So all these are, Sadbhir Bhakti Vinashyati. They destroy our devotional service. So in this way, we should be very cautious and take shelter, Sharanagati, Sharan of Lord Shri Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Dear viewers, my throat is bad. प्रभु जी ने अभी हमें शरणागति के बारे में बताया, 6 limbs of शरणागति बताई, जिसके अंडरस्टैंडिंग से हम शरणागति का मूड डेवलप कर सकते हैं, पर इन सब के लिए हमें डिवोशनल सर्विस में एंगेज होना है. और प्रभु जी इस वक्त वी हैव 2 more questions, पर उससे पहले आई विल जस्ट समराइज द 6 limbs of शरणागति सबके बेनिफिट के लिए. Accepting what is favorable, ये पहला था. दूसरा, rejecting the unfavorable activities to make spiritual advancement. तीसरा है believing that Krishna will save me. चौथा है accepting Krishna as one's maintainer. पांचवा है self surrender. और 6th है humility. तो ये 6 limbs हैं शरणागति के, जो प्रभु जी ने अभी एक्सप्लेन किए हम सब के लिए. और प्रभु जी ने रूपा गोस्वामी जी के 6 प्रिंसिपल्स भी बताए हमें, जिससे हम रैपिड स्पिरिचुअल एडवांसमेंट कर सकते हैं. और 6 प्रिंसिपल बताए जिसके कारण हमारी डिवोशनल सर्विस डिस्टर्ब भी हो सकती है. तो नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन है प्रभु जी यहाँ पर. Let me read it to you. Dear viewers, thank you so much for joining for Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam class. इस वक्त प्रभु जी आपके क्वेश्चंस आंसर कर रहे हैं. विशाल वैभव जी, हरे कृष्णा. इनका क्वेश्चन है, व्हाट इज द साइज ऑफ परमात्मा इन एनिमल, कीट पतंग, एंड व्हाट काइंड ऑफ स्मॉल बॉडीली जीव. सो बेसिकली आपने बताया परमात्मा का साइज. तो ये क्यूरियस है कि क्या सभी लिविंग एंटिटीज में यही साइज है?
Hare Krishna. So for human beings, it is given that this is the size, in the heart, and again, size is also relative. Now, आपको ये भी समझना पड़ेगा कि जो भगवान जब when he expands, शिवदक्षाई विष्णु जब वो expand करते हैं, वो केवल हम जीवों में ही नहीं, वो हर कण कण में भी एंटर करते हैं. So of course, वो अपना साइज अकॉर्डिंगली उस कण के अंदर रहने के लिए उसके हिसाब से साइज लेंगे. ठीक है. और इवन द स्पेसेस बिटवीन द एटम्स. सो एटम्स जो होते हैं, जिसको हम लोग नहीं देख सकते किसी भी कैमरे से या किसी भी दूरबीन से, किसी भी देयर इज नो स्कोप ऑफ सीइंग इट. इवन द स्पेसेस बिटवीन द एटम ही एंटर्स, शास्त्र से. सो ही इज ऑल परवेडिंग, और वो हर जगह पे हैं. और उनका जो फंक्शनैलिटी होता है, जो एक्सपेंशन करके आए हैं, एक्सपेंशन ऑफ एक्सपेंशन, पुरुषा as a super soul, he is taking the size according to the living entity. So for human beings, it is said that generally this is why devotees, when we have our home deities, they're of this size. We look at the size like how this is how the size is, so that we can serve him. The deity worship at homes are also performed for the deities based on the size that's given. But for different living entities, the size is accordingly. Yet at the same time, he is non-different. Now this is the part that confuses people. Some people say, oh, Lord has divided himself into many Paramatmas. No, all the Paramatmas are one. So he can be in your heart, and he can be in my heart, and he can be in the heart of an ant, and it is the same super soul. But to our eyes, to our information, Acharyas reveal that the size is perceived differently. Hare Krishna. Hopefully this answers your question.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. एक क्वेश्चन और है, एक्चुअली 2 क्वेश्चंस और हैं. कैन वी टेक द क्वेश्चंस? ओके. सो न्याभिंगी रस्त बोगमन जी ने कहा है, हरे कृष्णा प्रभु, व्हाट इज डिवोशनल सर्विस एंड व्हाट टू डू टू सर्व कृष्णा वेल. तो मेरे ख्याल से आप ब्रीफ में इसको भी अभी एड्रेस कर दें, क्योंकि काफी न्यू व्यूअर्स हैं जिन्होंने पास्ट क्लासेस मिस की हैं. सो दैट विल बी रियली हेल्पफुल. थैंक यू.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. What is devotional service? So there are 9 processes of devotional service, and these are activities carried out to please Lord Shri Krishna.
Devotional service are the various activities carried out to please who? Lord Shri Krishna. So generally in our life, we do everything putting ourselves in the center, our senses, for the sense enjoyment. And we realize that that will never make us happy. But when we serve Lord Shri Krishna, then we become truly happy. So to know devotional service, you have to understand what is the science of devotional service, what is the process of devotional service. So there are 9 processes of devotional service. We discuss in this class today. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pad Sevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atma Nivedanam. So Shravanam, hearing about the name, form, activities, pastimes, the glories of Lordship Kṛṣṇa. Kirtanam, by chanting. So we can be chanting, Hare Krishna Mahamatra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Or singing glories or speaking glories from Bhagavad Gita, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and so many literatures that are there, provided to us by Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas, right? Like Brahma Samhita being provided by, even Srila Prabhupada's Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, he wrote Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam's, commentary as well. So again, we read the Acharya's writings to do Kirtanam, and then Smaranam, remembering, the Pada Sevanam, serving the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna, Archanam, doing the deity worship, Vandanam, singing prayers to Lord Shri Krishna, Dasyam, serving Lord Shri Krishna as a servant, Sakyam, in a friendly mode, we are, serving, and pleasing Lord Shri Krishna, and surrendering everything, Atma Nivedanam. Whatever we see in context with Lord Shri Krishna to be used in Lord Krishna service. So dovetailing all our activities to please Lord Shri Krishna is the way to engage in devotional service. And the science of devotional service is a large topic, but start with having firm faith. So again, Adha Shraddha Tatha Sadhu Sangha. And once you get in the association of devotees, you'll automatically understand that the next step is to aspire and take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, and then bhajana kriya anartha nivriti hoti hai. Uske baad mein the whole process continues through nishtha, ruchi, asakti, finally to bhav and prema, and that's the goal of life. So the devotional service is the process to attain the goal of life, but it is also the goal of life. Hare Krishna. Hopefully this answers your question.
हरे कृष्णा. सो प्रभु जी ने अभी बताया डिवोशनल सर्विस तो भक्ति होती है जब हम भगवान को सर्व करते हैं विद लव एंड डिवोशन, एंड प्रभु जी ने 9 प्रोसेस ऑफ डिवोशनल सर्विस भी बताए. सो वी हैव टू एंगेज इन दोस सर्विसेज एंड इन दिस वे वी कैन सर्व कृष्णा वेल. सो आशा है नेहा बिंगी जी आपको आपका आंसर मिल गया है. और अब ये क्वेश्चन है करुणा सिंधु प्रभु जी का. हरि बोल.
Hare Krishna.
Awesome class प्रभु जी on such a difficult topic. How does chanting help us get blessings of Krishna?